On America's biggest sports weekend, America's Fight Night presents the biggest fight card ever in the greater Orlando area. Yes, we're only 20 minutes away from the famous theme parks like Disney World, Universal Studios, and SeaWorld as we welcome you to Showtime Championship Boxing on Super Bowl Eve. We're at the Silver Spurs Arena, largely a rodeo venue on the grounds of Osceola Heritage Park, just outside Orlando and the resort town of Kissimmee. A championship doubleheader featuring two undeniably gifted fighters in the light heavyweight division. It's Fight Night in Florida. Our main event, it's a clash of undefeateds as proven and tough. Tomas Adamek will defend his WBC 175-pound title against rising star Chad Dawson. And for openers, you'll see Jesus Chavez make his return as he puts his IBF lightweight belt on the line, facing former champion Julio Diaz. Hello again, everybody. Steve Albert in Kissimmee, Florida. We're just weight crowd against former champion Julio the Kid Diaz. Al, what should be an interesting stylistic contrast with the ingredients for action.
Well, that's true, Steve. And the 27-year-old former IBF champ, Julio Diaz, he's the boxer-puncher in this equation. He believes he came of age in his loss to Jose Luis Castillo. Since that loss, he's won 3 straight. And he says it was the loss, in fact, that toughened him up and made him a better fighter. Well, he'll need that against the hard-charging buzzsaw that is IBF champ Jesus Chavez. But Chavez comes into this fight off a 17-month layoff that included a shoulder operation and having his appendix removed. The question is, will he be ready to fight with his usual hell-bent for leather style? Part of that style is jabbing his way in to fight off his opponent's chest. Now, Chavez is an excellent and relentless body puncher, a key component for success tonight. His overhand right is an effective weapon, and it works because of the body attack. Chavez eyed the body of Eric Morales, but the punch would go to the head in the form of an overhand right. And always a good finisher, there would be a left hook from Chavez for good measure. He never stops punching, one of his many attributes. To keep Chavez off, Diaz can't paw with the jab. He has to throw it with conviction. Now, Diaz and his trainer disagree with me on this, but I think when he goes lefty, it is without rhyme or reason, and it hurts him. No switching. He has a good right hand. It's his best power punch. It can be used against Chavez. Setting up the right is important. A jab to the head and the midsection gets Jose Luis Castillo thinking, so that just a little bit later, Diaz can land a good straight right hand. This punch is necessary for Diaz tonight if he expects to get a win.
The pride of Coachella, California, from a fighting family, Julio Diaz back on the world title stage after a precise win over Ricky Keelis for the interim belt, which occurred when Jesus Chavez couldn't defend due to injury. A prolific amateur career and a hot prospect who hit some speed bumps, and after being manhandled by Jose Luis Castillo, has rebounded with 3 straight wins. Some feel Chavez should have chosen a softer touch in his return bout. But tonight, a lot of pressure. Many view this a fight of major importance for Diaz. It is Super Bowl weekend, and Jesus Chavez wearing the colors of his beloved Chicago Bears with a Rex Grossman jersey. Chavez used to live in Chicago's inner city. It's been 17 months since Chavez stepped into a ring, and 5 days after his last fight, his opponent, Levander Johnson, died from a brain injury. It's been a deeply emotional and agonizing period, despite the fact that Levander's father and trainer, Bill Johnson, told Chavez he was blameless. Nevertheless, he's dealt with mental anguish, a divorce, and no money coming in. This is a guy who's overcome a lot of adversity during his life, including prison and deportation, but even he admitted he has no idea how he'll react when the bell rings. Let's check the numbers now as we go to the tail of the tape. Diaz is the bigger and younger man. He's 7 years the junior of Chavez, now 34. Diaz 3 inches taller with the 2-inch reach advantage. At yesterday's weigh-in, Chavez just under Diaz, right on the target at 135. Key unified rules: no standing 8, no 3 knockdown. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell any round. If an accidental headbutt causes a fight to end within 4 rounds, it's a no decision. After 4, they go to the cards. If a punch causes a cut and the injured fighter can't continue, he loses by TKO. So here at the Silver Spurs Arena in Kissimmee, Florida, getting ready for Jesus Chavez versus Julio Diaz for the IBF Lightweight Championship. We get the formal introductions from our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the Silver Spurs Arena in Kissimmee, Florida, as we have a big night of action coming away. World Championship Boxing, brought to you by Don King Productions and Showtime. Well, fans, this bout coming your way is also promoted in conjunction with Saquon Ringside Promotions, is sanctioned by the IBF, President Marion Muhammad, Supervisor Darrell Peoples, along with the Florida State Boxing Commission. Introducing to you our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Longwood, Florida, Alex Levin. From San Diego, California, Pat Russell. And from Coral Springs, Florida, Peter Trematera. Introducing to you at this time our 3rd man of the ring, a referee in charge from Orlando, Florida, Frank Santor Jr. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Lightweight Championship of the World. Introducing to you first on my right, the interim champion, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red trunks with white trim, hailing from Coachella, California. He weighed in at 135 pounds, the lightweight limit. He is the 2-time world champion with a record of 33 wins, 3 losses, 24 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the current interim IBF lightweight champion of the world, introducing Julio the Kid Diaz. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trunks with white trim, fighting out of Austin, Texas, by way of Parral, Chihuahua, Mexico. He weighed in at 134 3/4 pounds. His record: 42 wins, 3 losses, 29 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the former WBC Super Featherweight World Champion and the Lightweight Champion of the world, introducing Jesus El Matador Chavez. Once again, a referee in charge, Frank Santor Jr., now to give instructions.
Here we go. Let's go, guys. All right, going over everything in the dressing room, all right? Both your trunks are where they're supposed to be. Let's keep your blows here on the belt or above, all right? I say break, I want you to take a step back and break, all right? Questions, gentlemen. Questions. Touch them up. Good luck, guys.
So the big question, will we see the same all-out, vicious, body-punching, rough, relentless Jesus Chavez as in the past? You have to wonder how Chavez will react if he gets Diaz in trouble. Will he hold back, or will he attack with the Levander Johnson tragedy still sitting in the back of his mind? Diaz told us it's important to get Chavez's respect early. He said he's got to hurt Chavez. The workman-like Diaz with solid technical skills. He's a boxer mover from the outside first, who looks to keep a brisk pace, looks to dictate the action. Also, Al, as you very well know, covering a number of Diaz fights, he will switch to southpaw.
He will indeed, and they were very vociferous that they think it's a good idea, in disagreement with me, but we'll see. It's something natural. He just does it, so there's no controlling that it's going to happen, apparently. Now, you know, this fight right now is being fought in the center of the ring, and if that continues, of course, and we're very early, Julio Diaz will be in pretty good shape. This is where he wants it. Early in this fight, the thing to look for is whether Chavez can back him against the ropes.
Yeah, typically Chavez a smothering, crowding, pressure guy who'll take 2-3 punches to give one. He is hittable, but can Diaz, a good accurate puncher, exploit that? But if Chavez finds that if he can take Diaz's best punch as this fight progresses, he will look to lure Diaz into a messy brawl. Diaz typically doesn't like pressure fights.
Early in this fight, Chavez is not using his jab to work his way in, which is a trademark of his. He's kind of looping punches from the outside.
Julio Diaz perhaps never hungrier with this huge opportunity to recapture the world title. Jesus Chavez, the champion, his first title defense in the red and white. Julio Diaz, the interim champ, former champ, in the red. Chavez 42-3 with 29 knockouts. Diaz 33-3 with 24 KOs. Chavez a 12-and-a-half-year pro career. Diaz has fought 8 years in the pros.
You know, in this first round, Jesus Chavez is exactly the first round he really didn't want. But he's on the outside for the most part getting hit. There he lands a good right hand. But Diaz is not taking advantage of this, I don't think, as much as he might. There's a lot of ring rust, you can tell, for Jesus Chavez. But can Diaz take advantage early of that?
It has been 17 months since Chavez stepped into a ring.
Now here's where the Chavez that bobs and weaves, gets on the inside. You saw he started to do that. But for the most part here in round one, Diaz has been able to control that.
So we approach the final seconds of round one, scheduled for 12 for the IBF lightweight championship. A round to the tempo of Julio Diaz. Our translator is Juan Gonzalez.
Yes. Trabaja todo para el lado izquierdo, Jesús. Todo para el lado izquierdo. Cinta y upper. You have to throw the upper and the hook. Es muy pasivo. He's a passive man. Just go boom, boom. Okay? Just keep going. Boom, boom. With the one jab only. Only one jab. Boom, boom. Only one jab. Only one jab. Everything is okay. Ya está. Vamos así. Moviendo la cintura. Move your chest. Move your voice.
So the big wonder going in, the effect of the long layoff in terms of conditioning, should this fight go long, and the past shoulder problems, how will they impact on the 34-year-old champion? It did take Chavez, normally a very aggressive straight-ahead fighter, a while to get going. He nails Diaz with a good right hand there on the inside.
And the overhand right, as we demonstrated in the keys to victory, a big weapon for Chavez. And you see he's winging it, but he's winging it from pretty far outside. Oh, they clanged heads there.
Heads.
This is the way Diaz wants it. He wants to keep it on the outside and box and move. Diaz is vulnerable to left hooks. He's susceptible to left hooks, and that is one of the principal weapons of Jesus Chavez. He loves to rip to the body, but Chavez is boxing with the boxer right now.
You know, Chavez had a 15-month layoff after he lost to Eric Morales and came back against Carlos Hernandez and was very effective. And he felt maybe he would be doing the same in this fight, but so far he's rusty.
And he injured his shoulder early on in that fight and fought basically one-handed. He's had 2 shoulder operations for rotator cuffs in the last few years. Also tore an ACL in his right knee. You see the brace.
Now there's something Julio Diaz doesn't want to do. Throw a wild left hook he doesn't need to do that. His punches should be straight up the middle and only occasionally throwing in those hooks.
Jesus Chavez a lot more tentative than we are accustomed to seeing, and Chavez just received a left hand to the jaw. Oh, a low blow there by Diaz.
Punches up. Okay.
So a warning from Frank Santor Jr. Wide looping, sweeping right hand that does not look very good by Chavez.
That's not what Jesus Chavez wants in this fight. His style is to jab, 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 step behind that jab, and then fight off his opponent's chest. He's not doing that to get inside against a man that has a height and reach advantage against him, and normally he does.
So far, Diaz just too fast for Chavez, who continues to try to wipe off the rust here from the long layoff. He has received a lot of support and encouragement from the Levander Johnson family, who say to him, you honor the memory of Levander by fighting on. And Chavez says that really helps him carry on with his life and career.
Time. What's up, baby?
Bien suave. Ya miraste, ya va para atrás, Julio. Hey, ya va para atrás.
He's going back. He's already going back. Now he's going to change. He knows he's too slow for you. Now he's going to try to hold you. You're putting your left hand down. You need to bring your left hand up. Okay.
Well, Diaz went downstairs, and he went a little too far downstairs. That was really a low blow. Interesting, Chavez didn't even act like he wanted to take any time off after that. And also there was a clash of heads right when that happened. The Diaz was holding his head. It's kind of like two penalties in football where they're offsetting.
That's right, offsetting penalties. Oh, down he goes, but it wasn't from a punch.
3.
He may have hurt his knee.
5.
Jesus Chavez
6,
in pain.
7, 8, 9, 10.
He's done. He's done.
Stay there.
His knee kind of buckled on him, Al. He went down, and he is in agony. We mentioned the surgically repaired knee, and it has gotten the better of Jesus Chavez, who cannot continue. What a shame. He had surgery after the Morales fight, wearing the knee brace, and with the knee brace for the first time, he scored a split decision over Carlos Hernandez in a great fight. Then came the fight with Levander Johnson, and now this.
I want to just give you a little round of
Well, a strange moment in this fight, which was moving along without incident, and then all of a sudden, Chavez moved to throw a jab and goes down in pain, and it was clear it was a knee issue, and obviously the knee that he had the brace on it that had been surgically repaired. And for Jesus Chavez, yet another bizarre and unfortunate incident, not only in his boxing career, but in his life, that upends him. He just couldn't continue after this. There was no way he could get up. He was in such pain. And a strange, strange ending to this fight as we look at yet another angle of what happened. Now, he twisted his knee, twisted it in a very awkward fashion. He was very widespread in his stance. And in fact, really, Steve, he never quite had his balance in this whole fight. Through the whole fight, he never seemed secure. And then we saw evidence there of the knee issue.
He tore the ACL in his left knee in the Morales fight. As mentioned, he came back after that fight with the knee brace, and he's worn it the last 3 fights or so. And a very disappointing, frustrating moment as he gets encouragement there from Julio Diaz.
You know, the interesting thing is we didn't get questions about Julio Diaz answered exactly. He was fighting very well over the first 2 rounds, but we didn't find out whether this young man has taken that big step up against the kind of pressure that we thought he was going to get, though he was fighting very well and intelligently in those first 2 rounds, and he is again IBF champion.
So a very inconclusive, unsatisfying conclusion to this fight. Of course, we can't see the true Jesus Chavez as well.
Very tough on this 34-year-old.
What I want you to do, you know what I mean, you can't put any real pressure on it. You have to get an MRI.
So they continue to attend to Jesus Chavez. We'll get the official time from Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 22 seconds in round number 3. Our referee in charge, Frank Santor Jr., reaches the count of 10. He is the winner by way of knockout. He is the IBF lightweight champion of the world, Julio the Kid Diaz.
You know, he'll, of course, accept the title, but you got to believe deep down inside, Al, that's not the way he wanted to win it.
I'm sure he would have wished for a more definitive performance in a different way, but one thing he can say honestly is he was dictating that fight for a couple of rounds, so he can't feel like it was a total fluke at this juncture, although clearly we had a long way to go. We'll look again at what happened. He was very wide in his stance, and I think, in my opinion, slipped on the paint or the logo that was there, which frequently happens, but because he was so widespread, I must have done something to the knee. We'll get a good look from above. He puts his feet back and then goes down. It may have been on one of those logos that it kind of slipped and then created an awkward angle for the knee.
All right, with that, Al Bernstein, let's go up into the ring and Karen Bryant. Karen?
All right, thank you, Steve. Jesus, obviously this has got to be disappointing. Exactly what happened? Because it looked like you were in sort of a wide stance and slipped. Talk us through it.
Well, you know, I was being a little defensive during the fight, although trying to maintain some sort of a attack toward Julio. You know, it was a little weird because my knee just sort of gave out.
And you're coming off a torn ACL before, right? Exactly. So obviously you had thought you had rehabbed this, though. It's just not strong enough?
No, it was this is my good leg.
Oh, that's the good leg.
That's the only good leg I have to stand on, and obviously that didn't work. But it was hard because I didn't want to give up the title. You know, I know that I have had those injuries, and now I pass it along to Julio Diaz to defend it and do well with it. My apologies to the world because I try with my entire heart to do well, and unfortunately it didn't happen, and I'm sorry for choking up, but it's my own fault. I put myself in this situation. I loved boxing. I love boxing, and now I guess I just gotta go back and heal and see what the doctors say about this current injury now, and well, my apologies to the world.
All right. Well, thank you, and good luck with the rehabilitation. All right, Steve.
All right, Karen, a very tough, disappointing night for now former champion Jesus Chavez, who gives up the belt in his first title defense. Drops to 42-4. He is dethroned in a freakish way, you can say, as his knee just gives out. And the win by Diaz opens the door to title unification. He has targeted the fighting student, WBA champ Juan Diaz, who attends the University of Houston. In fact, Julio said after Juan finishes his homework, maybe they'll let him out to come out and play, quote unquote.
You know what? He can be a little derisive, but Juan Diaz is a handful. And the two of them, stylistically, would make a phenomenal match.
Well, an interesting night. Let's get Julio's reaction to what happened. Back to Karen Bryant in the ring.
Thank you. Well, congratulations are in order, of course, to the kid. I got to imagine, though, this is not the way you wanted to win.
Well, for my part, I think I did my job. I was just too crisp, too strong. I showed it for the first 3 rounds. I was untouchable, and I think I took his soul, and he just saw he needed to be 100% to be against me today.
Now, you had said that you're used to fighting in reverse, backing up, but you, in fact, seemed the aggressor.
Yeah, I told everybody that, I mean, that's Matador, but this is not his weight class, you know. I'm the bigger, stronger guy, and right now I'm just top of my game, you know, and this is my time to shine. I told you guys from the beginning, and here I am again.
Now, do you think that he physically wasn't ready for this fight?
I don't know. I can't really tell you that. I got ready for 100% Chavez. We all know he fought Eric Morales with one hand for 12 rounds, and you know, nothing like that stops him. You know, but this is a different weight class, and you know, you got to give me that.
Well, let's talk about the weight class, because obviously you're a champion. Who do you want to take on next?
Well, I'm hoping Juan Diaz finishes the homework and come out and play. You know, maybe Don will make it work. I just think there's too much Diaz in the weight class right now, and we need to start getting rid of some of them, you know.
Yes.
I think the people want it, and that's everywhere I go. You know, that's all they mention. Juan Diaz, Juan Diaz. You know, I think, you know, nothing against them. I just think we need to, you know, just give it for the people. That's what they want to see, and you know, I'm ready for them.
All right. Well, we'll see if that happens. See if the man makes it happen. Congratulations to you on your victory.
For having us today. We had a great time. Coachella, espérenos con la banda. Compadre.
All right. Back to you, Steve.